Hi everyone. Now I'm working on a couple of boxes of flies or patterns that I fished while I was when I worked at a trout fishery. Now I managed a trout fishery for many years, 15 plus years, as well as obviously I did a lot of other things, but basically this was from the early 90s right through to 2000s, 2006, something like that. So it was a good 15 years I was there. Basically, I had quite a few patterns that I fished. Now what I'm doing is, I say, I'm putting the box together the flies I've actually fished. So I wrote down the type of flies that I did fish. Main ones was for my buzzer pattern. Now I got a question recently, what was my favourite buzzer pattern. Now I kept it reasonably simple. I used a pheasant tail nymph, this one. And I use them in different sizes, even smaller. That's a 14. So there's a 12s, 14s, and 10s in windy days. And I used the bigger hook, the bigger fly, to control the depth of the fly as well. There's catch or caught on it as well, but it was a kind of way to fish, or find the depth, or find where the fish were, especially when the midge were coming up in the water. But obviously, I mean, to be honest with you, these came from. I fished the river a lot, so I used the pheasant tail was a great choice for me. So I just brought it into the lochs and it just continued to catch. I mean, I had a lot of other flies, but obviously there's a bug pattern here. I used that in the river a lot. It's my version of the killer bug at the time. Hare's ear nymph. Can't go far wrong with hare's ear nymph. Great impressionist type fly. It represents a lot. Buzzer wise and pin fry even. The pheasant tail was good for pin fry as well as buzzer, as well as a carixa, depending on how you presented it and fished it. If you flicked it or made it move a certain way, the fish would certainly take it and give us even a carixa. The colours, these are the main colours I used. Obviously black, natural. This is a pheasant tail dyed lime green, black, and this one's tied with a pearl thread. Hare's ear is just a mix of blend, as much as and these are all tied with copper wire. So they've all got weight, except for this one, and get down. So, and as well as I'd other flies, as I say, dry flies. I did like to fish the dry when I could. As I say, I've written down some of the flies. I had a couple of dowel backs, I had a couple of pin fry type patterns that did well for me, meaning I had pearl up the side, had many lures. I didn't fish big flies, so this is one of the like a damsel fly, this one. I know it doesn't look, so it's the size of a damsel's, well, just slightly bigger, but it's a good damsel pattern. As I say, I didn't fish it a great deal. I try to stick to more the natural thing. Even these pheasant tails and bugs I fished in the middle of the winter, and I still caught it. I just fished along the banks. The damsel then kicked in a wee bit. I had the bloodworm fly, a pattern to represent bloodworm. But I do get asked, what damsels did I fish? This would probably be that one, and I had a wee redhead, I hadn't tied it yet. I had a wee fry pattern for the stickleback, which there used to be lots of sticklebacks, and a lot of damsels in the loch. So just basic flies. The damsel colour combinations, I mean, I'm just going to show you. Marabou's, sort of gold and olive. It looks more yellowier, but it's a gold and olive. Sort of slightly brown olivey colour, and then dark olive. I mean, every colour of olive you could think of. And I just basically had different colours to suit. I would say probably the kind of golden olive was a favourite of mine. This colour. These are not my dyeings, these are from vineyards. I mean, I still have the packets. Now these are over, gosh, I mean these were from myself, like, so if you imagine there's a brown olive, I don't know if you can see that, kind of browny olive. There's your kind of cabbage colour, if you want to call it that. Is there anything in there? Just a standard olive, and then that one. So, as I say, I just had different colours. And basically, there's one behind here. This is basically the one I've got just on my desk. So it's just having different colours, different ones with weight, one without. I mean, it just depends how you were actually fishing it. The one with the painted bead was a good fly, but the painted bead as well, I would have wee fry patterns like what we call a grizzle cat and things like that. These were attractor type patterns, but they did represent small fry. So I'm going to quickly tie this just to show you. I'll get my camera centred up a wee bit. Just moving it, sorry. Make sure I get the fly in it. There we are. Thread I'm going to be using just to basically colour the bead. Now the bead, this one's a brass bead, this one's from Full Mill Chartreuse. It's a 2.8mm. Just a nice weight, it's just not too heavy, especially if you're on the bank. You can work it off the bottom, tweak it between. I used to like fishing off the burn, where the burns come in, those two. I used to love fishing these areas, especially for the bloodworm as well as the small fry, but they're always good areas to catch. But anyway, quite a simple fly to tie this. It's not fussy, there's basically there's no flash on it, I didn't put anything on it. Tied it on a size, this is didn't have this hook at the time, but basically I had much the same, size 12. Preferred the smaller hook rather than a 10, so I can get a longer tail. Now the tail is just, as I say, just Marabou, not too much. Just peel it off. I usually roll it with my fingers, and then I look at the taper, just pinch the end, length probably around to hit the hook, just slightly by it, or longer than the hook. I like to pull back the Marabou fibres and tear away so that I would get less bulk when I do that. I'm going to moisten my fingers a wee bit just to keep this down. And you catch this on, 2 or 3 turns, pull it in a wee bit, and then trim. Now you could put flash in it if you want, it's up to yourself. A moisture here it's always best with Marabou while you're fiddling, just a wee touch of moisture just to hold it out the way. I've got a small oval gold tinsel was my rib, just to protect it. So we'll tie it in at this point, let's go up. Now the easiest way to get the colour of the body is just to use the same Marabou. Just pull off a length, enough just to form like a... Basically if you're going to be winding this up, just looking at the length of the fibre here, so when you tear it off, you want to line up the ends here. I'm down about halfway, so just catch this on at the tips, and then as you pull the tips in and wind towards the tail, come back up. Now I'm going to stop about maybe 3-4 mil away from the bead, but I'm going to bring the Marabou up as our herald. As you can see, it makes a great herald. And by tying it at the tip, it kind of gives you some kind of taper. So to tie it on, you have to come over the Marabou because I'm winding towards myself. Turn onto the hook, just do it 3 or 4 times just to make sure it's not going to move. Trim that away, and then bring your rib up. And it could be wire, it could be even, I used to like a fluorescent floss or anything like that, it was good. And this is the standard one. Screw it in. There we are. Now I like to use Partridge. This is dyed Partridge, same colour, golden olive. So everything was much the same colour. We tie it in by the tip. So I'm going to locate the tip of the feather. It's a very simple fly. Much like all the flies are tied, there isn't much to them. Relax on the thread here. tidying up a wee bit. Now I'm going to put some dubbing on. Dubbing can be much like a bit of rabbit. What I'm using here, this is one for Full of Milk. Oops. Slight olive, UV. I used to love UV in the fly if it was any flash at all. When it came out, it was a handy thing to have. As much as the thread, I'm not sure if I mentioned the thread, it's Chartreuse 80 Uni. Now all I'm doing here is loosely putting it on. It's not too tight. And then you want your thread to be beside the bead. And then you just want to wind your hackle through it. Now winding through a soft dubbing like this will keep the fibres out. So what you do is, I used to just basically wind to make sure I get a turn at the bead. So I'm going to take it up, at least I've got a nice full turn near the bead. So secure in your feather. Just watch my fibres here. Now you could put finish straight away, or what I used to like, tiny bit of dubbing. Just slide it up. It will draw back your fibres a wee bit. So you put your dubbing on and then whip finish. So you come in 1, 2, 3, in this case 4. Now what I like to do is put some varnish on my thread. And just hold the fibres back here. 1, 2, 3, another couple. Tighten up. You'll feel it kind of going in. Just don't pull it really tight that you're going to break the thread. Just nice and easy. Just allow the thread to bind in. And there we are. And then what I always like to do, looks a bit up in the air, but once it's in the water it's fine. But if you give a wee blast with the hairdryer, I'll show you. This should do it. Just draws the fibre back. Now, if you feel it's too overdressed or heavy, you could trim away underneath and top and just have legs out the side. But to be honest with you, I used to just left it earlier. Didn't do much to it. And to me, I caught on these. It was basically the way to fish it. I mean, in a small fishery, I used to just a floating line. And a length of leader, on average probably 12 foot, maybe a wee bit more depending, but 10, 12 feet. And then I would just fish along the bank. The way the bead got it down, I just tweaked it along the edge. I didn't fish too far out. Most of the fish I caught were along the side. The fish were feeding along the side, or looking for anything, because that's where most of the life was anyway. So unless they were casting to the back of an island or a weed bed that maybe further out or something like, so it depends. But anyway, there we are, simple wee sort of damsel fly, if you want to call it. And that's the golden olive version. As I say, just have all the colours, the olives, and they're all worth having a go. There's times the darker olive would work, medium, and then, as I say, the golden olive, brown olive even. As the damsel grows, it changes colour by its age, meaning when it sheds its skin as it grows, it's really bright when it sheds its skin, so it could be a really bright colour, even towards your chartreuse colour near a very insect green, through to it dulls down to a browny coloured olive. And these are suggestive patterns anyway, so they've got a nice taper movement, and this is what we caught on. So anyway, I mean, I fished small, I didn't go big, but anyway, that's one of the flies that I tied. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and again, thanks for watching.